Danny Ellis was just another quiet teenager from a Boston suburb until one blurry Snapchat photo and a cryptic party video tied him to the mysterious death of Officer John O'Keefe. Karen Reed stood accused, but Danny's secret digital trail hinted at something darker. As investigators dug deeper, what started as a routine high school party spiraled into a chilling web of silence, fear, and a witness who vanished before the truth could surface. Did Danny know who really killed John O'Keefe, or was he hiding a secret of his own? Danny Ellis had always been the type of teenager most people overlooked. He kept to himself, focused on school, and barely made noise online. But on the night of March 4th, everything changed. A group of high school seniors gathered for an after-party just a few miles from Fairview Drive, the street that would become the center of a murder investigation. The party was routine by teenage standards: loud music, alcohol, laughter, and an endless stream of photos and videos posted to Snapchat. Danny attended quietly, staying on the fringes, recording clips of the night like everyone else. He wasn't popular, but that didn't stop him from posting. One blurry photo, uploaded for just a few seconds before being deleted, would later trigger a chain of events that no one saw coming. In the image, captured with a shaky hand, a dimly lit figure lay motionless near a snowbank. The background was nondescript, but distant headlights could be seen casting long shadows across the ground. Most people who saw it dismissed it as a joke or prank. It was only when the photo resurfaced weeks later on a Reddit thread about strange coincidences near murder scenes that it caught serious attention. A user who had screenshotted the snap described it as chilling, and not just because of the weather in the photo. Law enforcement, already under pressure from media scrutiny surrounding the death of Boston officer John O'Keefe, took note. John's body had been discovered outside a house on Fairview Drive early that same morning, with Karen Reed, his girlfriend, claiming she might have accidentally hit him with her SUV. But Karen's story never fully lined up. Questions swirled about the timeline, the state of the body, and the silence of potential witnesses. When Danny's Snapchat photo was analyzed, geolocation data placed him less than 200 feet from the house where John was found. Investigators began to wonder why a teenager with no connection to the victim or suspect had been so close to the scene of a suspected murder. Danny had never come forward. He hadn't mentioned seeing anything unusual. Yet the evidence was there, hidden within one digital footprint, posted in the middle of the night, and removed just as quickly. That single image cracked open a mystery far bigger than a teenage party. It raised a haunting question. Was Danny just a bystander, or had he stumbled upon a secret he was never meant to see? As authorities revisited the image and dug into Danny Ellis's digital trail, inconsistencies began to surface. The party he claimed to have attended was hosted by classmates several streets over, yet his phone had connected to a Wi-Fi network registered to 34 Fairview Drive, the exact location where John O'Keefe's body was later discovered. According to Danny's social media activity, he had been uploading Snapchats well past midnight. Investigators recovered several screenshots from his friends' phones, including one that showed a snowy street corner eerily similar to Fairview. In the bottom corner of that photo, just barely visible, was a shape that looked like a person collapsed in the snow. At the time, no one thought twice. Teenagers often played with filters and dramatic captions. But now, with the murder under investigation, every detail mattered. Danny's phone data painted a troubling timeline. At 1:47 a.m., his device registered a connection to a Wi-Fi signal from Fairview Drive, lasting 12 minutes before disconnecting. At 2:03 a.m., a new photo was posted, one that never made it to his public feed. It was saved privately in his cloud storage, encrypted and filed under a folder titled Drafts. That photo showed Karen Reed's black SUV parked awkwardly near the curb, with what looked like a red smear in the snow beneath the rear bumper. Digital forensic experts confirmed the metadata. The picture had not been edited, and the timestamp placed it nearly an hour before the first 911 call came in. Danny never mentioned this photo to anyone. In fact, by the next morning, he had deleted several posts, wiped his browser history, and restored his phone to factory settings. He skipped school that day, reportedly feeling sick. When questioned weeks later, he claimed he had been home all night, only briefly passing through the neighborhood after getting a ride from a friend. But that story unraveled quickly. His Uber trip history showed a drop-off 3 blocks away from Fairview at 12:12 a.m. From there, he had walked the rest of the way straight into a developing crime scene. Authorities were left to determine whether Danny had simply stumbled onto something by accident, or if he had been intentionally observing. Either way, he now held crucial evidence that conflicted with Karen Reed's original timeline. More disturbingly, it hinted that someone else had been at the scene before police ever arrived, and that someone might have been watching everything from the shadows. As investigators traced Danny Ellis's digital activity further, what emerged was a pattern of disturbing behavior hidden in plain sight. Though his public online presence was minimal, a deep dive revealed an alternate TikTok account under a pseudonym, where he posted dark, cryptic videos. Most were stylized clips with distorted audio and flashing images. But one stood out. In it, a person in a hoodie dragged a heavy object across a snowy driveway. The figure paused, looked toward the camera, and the screen cut to black. The video had no caption, but the audio loop whispered, "You didn't see this." At first, it looked like a poorly done horror skit. But now, knowing that Danny had been near Fairview Drive the night John O'Keefe died, the clip felt like something more like a reenactment. Further investigation into his phone's health app data added more layers to the puzzle. At exactly to 17 a.m., Danny's step count spiked. He moved quickly for nearly 10 minutes, stopping abruptly at 2:28. This aligned with the rough time frame of the alleged hit and run. Investigators speculated he might have run from the scene or towards something he wasn't ready to admit. Around the same time, he made a private voice memo, later recovered through his phone's backup system. It was muffled, full of heavy breathing and whispered phrases. Only a few lines were clear enough to make out he was still breathing. "I didn't know what to do. She said it was an accident." Though the voice memo didn't name anyone, it was enough to draw serious concern. Was Danny referring to Karen Reed? Or was someone else involved that he was protecting? Complicating things further, a recent purchase record showed Danny had bought gloves and cleaning wipes from a gas station convenience store the next morning. Surveillance footage confirmed the transaction. His hands were red and raw, possibly from prolonged exposure to freezing temperatures or scrubbing something off. Detectives considered the growing possibility that Danny had returned to the scene after the incident or never left. With no visible injuries or clear motive, he remained a frustrating figure, close enough to the crime to matter, but silent enough to avoid consequences. His actions weren't overtly criminal, yet they raised alarm. Every deleted photo, every cryptic video, every carefully worded social post painted the image of someone hiding behind the screen, someone who saw too much and chose silence over truth. The question shifted from what did Danny know, to why was he trying so hard to make it disappear? A breakthrough came when forensic analysts accessed Danny Ellis's cloud storage through a court-ordered warrant. Tucked inside a folder labeled Archives was a deleted audio recording that stopped everyone in their tracks. The file, dated March 5th at 3:12 a.m., contained a panicked voice, Danny speaking in rushed, fragmented thoughts. His breathing was erratic, and the background noise suggested he was outside, possibly walking. In the recording, Danny said, "He was lying there. She didn't even look back. I thought she was going to call 911. I waited, and then I left. What was I supposed to do?" Though no names were mentioned, the context was chilling. Combined with his geolocation data, the photo of the SUV, and the eerie TikTok post, the confession added a new urgency to the case. It confirmed what investigators had feared: Danny had not only been near the scene but had witnessed something critical. His silence was no longer a matter of suspicion. It was evidence of first-hand knowledge. The phrase "she didn't even look back" pointed strongly toward Karen Reed, yet it left room for interpretation. Was Danny implicating her directly, or was he describing a different woman? As police connected more dots, they discovered another file, a screenshot of a text conversation that had been deleted from Danny's phone. It showed a brief exchange between Danny and an unsaved number. The messages read, "Unknown, delete everything. You weren't there. Understand? Danny. I didn't tell anyone. But it's not right. Unknown. You want to go down for this?" The tone was threatening, and the timing coincided with Danny's behavior shift after the murder. In the days following John O'Keefe's death, Danny had become noticeably withdrawn, deleting social accounts and missing multiple school days. Friends said he stopped talking about the party entirely. One classmate claimed Danny once whispered, "You don't know what I saw," before quickly walking away. While detectives couldn't identify the sender of the text, the message hinted at pressure or intimidation. It raised the terrifying possibility that others knew Danny had been present and that they were actively working to keep him quiet. Now, the case was no longer about just Karen Reed. It had opened the door to a wider web of secrets, fear, and possible obstruction. Danny wasn't just a scared teenager anymore. He was a witness walking a tightrope between telling the truth and disappearing into silence. Before investigators could bring Danny Ellis in for another round of questioning, he vanished. On the morning of March 18th, his parents reported him missing. He hadn't returned home from school the day before, and his phone had been powered off since 4:42 p.m. Surveillance from his last known location, a bus terminal in Worcester, showed Danny walking alone, wearing a hoodie and carrying a backpack. He didn't appear distressed, but his departure was deliberate. The footage ended with him stepping onto a bus headed west, its destination unclear. The news of his disappearance hit the public fast. Media outlets were already circling the Karen Reed case. But now, a new headline emerged. Teen connected to Fairview murder case missing after secret evidence leak. Theories spread like wildfire. Some claimed Danny ran out of fear. Others believed he was silenced to prevent him from testifying. Online forums buzzed with speculation, piecing together fragments of Danny's digital life and building narratives that blurred the line between fact and fiction. 5 days later, a hiker found a black backpack near a frozen reservoir 20 miles outside of town. Inside were Danny's school ID, a hoodie, and an open energy drink, and a spiral notebook. The first few pages were blank. Then came a single note, written in black ink on a torn sheet. I didn't kill him, but I saw what happened. I was too scared. I wanted to forget, but it keeps coming back. I'm sorry. The note wasn't signed, but the handwriting matched samples from Danny's schoolwork. For investigators, it wasn't just a farewell, it was a missing puzzle piece. It confirmed Danny hadn't been a participant in the crime, but a witness overwhelmed by guilt and fear. The statement supported earlier evidence, but it also left behind unanswered questions. What exactly had he seen? Who was the person in the text messages? Why did he believe staying silent was safer than telling the truth? Despite exhaustive search efforts, Danny was never found. No more clues surfaced, no bank activity was recorded, and no new digital footprints appeared. He became a ghost in a case already clouded by confusion and mistrust. The official investigation into John O'Keefe's death continued, with Karen Reed still at the center, but Danny's disappearance cast a long shadow over the truth. It was no longer just a story of one man's death, it was now about the secrets hidden in silence, and the teenager who might have held the truth but chose to disappear with it.